4.6 billion years since its creation, the Earth has continued to surprise us with its natural wonders. Great nature, a journey of mysterious discovery. Images that inspire and delight. Nature as artist, sculpting and carving out the land.
Today, a look at a mystical land hidden in Brazil in South America. Known as the Diamond Highlands, the area is an ecological delight formed by the wondrous power of water. Opened to the public about 30 years ago, it is nicknamed the Grand Canyon of Brazil. Large quantities of diamonds were unearthed in 1842, and mining has continued in the region to this day. In fact, it has gained momentum in recent years. A Japanese media crew enters for the first time. An uncommon land of mixed terrain, created in an extremely early period of the Earth's history. A close-up look at a little-known land of waterfalls, steep cliffs, and diamonds in the South American country of Brazil. Today we journey to Brazil in South America, to the eastern region, where the Diamond Highlands spread across the inland state of Bahia, located over 1,000 kilometers below the equator. It's an 8-hour scenic drive from the coast. The destination, set against a backdrop that artists dream of, are the Diamond Highlands, Chapada Diamantina National Park. Behind the wheel and heading to the first viewing spot is American geologist Roy Funk, an expert guide. He was the first director of the national park and the primary driving force in establishing it. First, a small mountain cliff that rises about 100 meters must be climbed. The view from the top of the mountain is said to best reveal the characteristics of the land.
Wow, amazing!
This is the #1 viewing spot in Chapada Diamantina National Park. In Portuguese, Chapada means a region of steep cliffs, usually near a plateau. As the name suggests, the soaring mountains all have flat tops. And of course, Diamantina refers to the diamonds that were discovered here. At the foot of the mountains, expansive green meadows carpet the ground. Perpendicular cliffs that dot the landscape soar over 500 meters upward. A number of horizontal lines on the surface of the cliffs signify different stratum. This entire area is composed of layers of rock, stacked plate-like one on top of the other. At dusk, the land appears in its most beautiful form. Each layer of rock clearly visible. Vegetation also grows here and there on each stratum, creating a magnificent contrast of orange and green. Now for a closer look inside the national park. A short walk makes it possible to discover how this land was formed.
Huh. I noticed this before, but the ground isn't dirt. It's sand.
At an elevation of about 500 meters, this mountain trail more closely resembles the paths found on coastal sand dunes. The rocks are not your usual mountain rocks.
The hardened sand became sandstone, which then eventually turned back into sand. Most of the rock that you see around here is made of sandstone. It's all sandstone.
In fact, this land is almost completely composed of sandstone. Sandstone can be found everywhere on the Earth and is not at all rare. However, what makes it unique is that the sandstone here was created in a very early time period of the Earth's history.
Over here is something interesting. Can you see the diagonal layer over there? Those lines in the rock? These are the remains of an ancient sand dune. You see, around here, it was all desert, and sand that was blown by the wind hardened diagonally. This was later covered by other layers and formed in this way.
In which period was all of this sandstone created?
So this up here, this is the desert stratum, right? How old is it?
We're talking about almost 2 billion years back in our past. A long time.
2 billion years? This is a desert from 2 billion years ago?
Yes, yes.
2 billion years. Wow!
Well, and back then, this entire area, all of it, was just desert.
The sandstone that spreads across the Diamond Highlands turns out to be an extremely old layer of Earth from about 2 billion years ago. Known as the Precambrian era, it was a time in geological history when living organisms, such as animals, did not yet exist on Earth. There is a place where a prehistoric remnant of the Earth can directly be experienced. A sandstone cave sits uphill. Time to explore.
And this. Wow. What is this?
After a 4-hour walk, the entrance to the cave is reached.
This is called Lapao Cave, and it is known as one of the largest sandstone caves in the world.
Lapao Cave is 40 meters high and continues on for 1 kilometer. It is one of the largest sandstone caves in the world. Caution must be taken, for the interior is covered with rocks that have broken off and fallen from the ceiling. What is the almost 2 billion-year-old prehistoric form of the Earth that one is able to experience here? According to Roy, it is a mysterious pattern carved into the fallen rocks.
I think you can see that the pattern here on this rock is that of sand at the bottom of the ocean. It is all mountain now, but this is part of the clear evidence we have that this area around Bahia was the ocean floor way back in time. See how this rock has bumpy patterns in it? You can see them easily. They are actually patterns of sand on the surface, made by the wind a very long time ago, and they were covered over. And then the new layers built up on top. Again and again it happened.
From the nearly 2 billion-year-old signs carved into the rock, it can be understood that the Diamond Highlands are a special place with a deep connection to prehistoric times.
Great Nature, a program that explores the mysterious and magical wonders of the Earth. Volcanoes, caverns, atmospheric phenomena, events that took place billions of years ago, and events that are taking place now, coming to life on the screen.
A geographic wonderland created almost 2 billion years ago. The question is how? Its formation is deeply connected to a continental drift of global scale. A very long time ago, the current South American and African continents were connected as one. This is what the continents looked like roughly 2 billion years ago. Looking at the top right part of the screen, it is clear that there was a shallow ocean between the two lands that would later become South America and Africa. This ocean is where the Diamond Highlands were formed. Every time it rained, large amounts of sand would flow into the shallow ocean, creating a thin layer on the sea floor. With only a small climatic change, this shallow ocean saw a significant sea level change. When the sea level dropped and the seafloor became exposed, the thin layer of sand hardened under the heat of the sun, turning it into a desert. When the sea level rose again, a new layer of sand built up on top of the hardened layer. As this process repeated itself, a fascinating land of many thin layers of sandstone stacked on top of each other was created. The next question is how these vertical cliffs, another marked feature of this land, were created. The secret to this mystery lies hidden here.
Wow!
A large waterfall flows down a perpendicular cliff. There are over 200 spectacular waterfalls, both large and small, in the national park. The vertical cliffs were created by this distinctive flow of water. Pay special attention to both sides of the waterfall. The falling water does not directly hit the surface of the cliff. Although water does not hit it, the surface of the cliff is wet. In fact, water is seeping out from between the layers of rock. When this land of sandstone was formed, numerous small fissures were created. These cracks absorb rainwater. The rainwater then erodes the layer of rock, filling the interior with gaps. When a layer of rock is unable to withstand its own weight, it collapses. Eventually, all of the layers break off, leaving behind a magnificently perpendicular cliff. This phenomena took place throughout the area, creating the magical scenery of today. Today is the day to take on a challenge, a climb up a giant cliff, a distinct feature of the Diamond Highlands.
Hello.
The destination is the largest waterfall in the national park, Fumasa Falls. The height of the cliff is an astounding 400 meters. This is an opportunity to once again directly experience the tremendous power of the land. Fumasa Falls is 28 kilometers from the nearest village.
The ground is once again sand, like before.
Soon the ground becomes covered in rocks. The landscape changes. There is sandstone everywhere. Scenery like this can only be seen here in these highlands.
Oh, this is amazing. And look here. There are roots growing on the rock.
A large boulder is tightly held by the root of a nearby tree. How long is the root? It can be seen growing into the river.
This area around us is also full of sandstone. Many different layers of sandstone, and there is actually barely any dirt at all. For that reason, the tree roots do not grow underground. There's hardly any soil down there, but they instead directly stretch outward for water and nutrition.
The Diamond Highlands are a harsh environment for forest trees, as soil is difficult to find here. Nonetheless, plants adapt themselves in order to survive. The Fumasa Falls are close at hand. The rocks below are becoming larger. After walking on this rugged mountain path for 15 hours, the falls are finally reached.
There it is. Fumaça Falls.
So this is it. The water doesn't flow straight to the bottom here.
This is the approximately 400-meter-high Fumaça Falls. Because of the height and speed of the water flow, the water is blown away before it can reach the ground. The waterfall shapes and creates the land nearby, creating its place on the landscape as well.
Actually, this waterfall used to extend further out in front, far beyond where it is now. Of course, that was a few million years ago. The water continued to slowly erode the sandstone until it reached where it is today. And in a few million more years, I think the waterfall will have slowly moved even further and further back.
Looking at the vertical cliff from a distance reveals it is caving in where the water is flowing. Even now, the layer of sandstone is slowly being eroded away. At the waterfall basin, there is a pile of large boulders that have collapsed from above. The tremendous power of erosion from Fumaça Falls is truly unparalleled. Finally, the cameras are readied and preparations made to climb Fumaça Falls. The challenge is a 400-meter high cliff. In fact, success in climbing to the top of the cliff will provide a dizzying spectacle of nature. The view of Fumaça Falls from above. The climb begins. The climb is a rigorous undertaking right from the start. The cliff has a steep surface, requiring the constant use of both hands for climbing. One hour into the climb, the rock face has become seemingly perpendicular. This is footage from a miniature camera attached to a helmet. There are gaps between the layers of rock. This is what happened after the rainwater seeped into the cracks in the cliff and slowly eroded away the rock. The function of water that is so distinct to the Diamond Highlands is also clearly observed here.
Oh, this is deep.
There are also numerous deep fissures in the cliff as well. This fissure was made when the area originally rose up from the ocean. When rainwater flows into such places, the cracks become larger, and whole sections of rock break off.
It's like a stairway.
After climbing for 4 hours, the top of the 400-meter cliff is reached. All that is left to do is to capture on film the ultimate view from the top of nature at play.
That's it.
There is not much water, but it is beautiful.
Fumasa Falls. The shimmer of the water with the light playing upon it is reminiscent of real diamonds. The magical scenery that reveals itself everywhere in this land is a natural miracle created by the power of water over millions of years.
A long, long time ago, rocks collapsed and became sand. And then that sand accumulated. And eventually it became rock. And now, right before us, this rock is trying to return to sand with the power of water. It's a continuous repetition of this process, over and over. I truly believe that it is our responsibility to preserve this natural cycle for the future.
This land, riddled with prehistoric clues, spreads across Brazil and South America and is repeating the Earth's natural process of transformation, even now.